Hey, hey, happy new year. Happy 2022. Welcome to the You Can Be Anything podcast. I am your host, Solange, also known as Soso Babes. As usual, we are yet in another episode of the podcast where we bring in amazing people to come share their experiences, come share with us what they do in life with the goal of inspiring and motivating you, my dear listeners. So today on the podcast, I am honored to have somebody I share blood with. Today, I've invited Elvira, also known as Ice, to come tell us about her professional photo studio with Ice. She's going to talk to us about Studio with Ice, and she was also going to tell us about the other things she does. She's also a professional project manager and many other things. You just want to listen and hear all the interesting stuff she does. So Elvira, thank you so much for accepting my invitation on my podcast. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me, and Happy New Year to everyone out there. It's a pleasure to be on this, to be the first person on your platform for 2020. I feel privileged, I feel honored, and I am grateful to be here. Thank you very much.
Yes, and I guess she meant for 2022.
Oh,
yes.
2022. Oh, fast forward. Yep.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm sure there's a lot of people who don't want to go back to 2020, so don't say that. Awesome. Thanks again for accepting my invitation. So just to clear something off the air, right? There are a lot of people who have reached out to me and spoken to me and like, hey, your big sister, Ice. And so I just want to clear that off today. Ice is not my big sister. She is my younger sister. I know my friend Sandra once referred to her as Grand Sir. And when I told her, she was so pissed and like, why did she respond? She should have told me that she is your younger sister. So yes, she's my younger sister. Thank you so much, little sis, for accepting to join us. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about Studio with Ice. I know you're the founder of Studio with Ice. Please kindly tell the guests, what is Studio with Ice?
Studio with Ice is I don't want to call it it is my lab. It is Ice's lab. So the studio there in that word doesn't necessarily relate to photography. In that lab, I do so many things. I do flyers, I do videos talking about the things I'm passionate about. I work on my non-profit, Akum Generation now, that is based in Akum, or Small London as they call. I work with women, young people, the old, there's just the underprivileged people. So Studio with Ice encompasses a lot of things, not just photography. Photography is part of it, but there are many other things that I do within that studio.
Awesome. That is interesting. So again, it probably took you some time to build this Studio with Ice. And I would just like for you to share with us, what is one thing that you wish you had known before you started your Studio with Ice?
So I'll say two things. First of all, I wish I didn't care in my 20s what people think about me. I wish I did not care. So that is one thing. Then another thing that is directly related to photography is while I was in UB, after graduation in UB in 2010, I was like, what am I supposed to do now? I was looking for a job, want to further my studies and all that. So I decided to go into the real photos at the UB Junction to learn more about photography. And I wish I didn't stay behind the screens, editing pictures and all that. I wish I took the cameras and went to the streets and took pictures, because right now I'm struggling with field work. Sometimes lighting is my biggest problem. Meanwhile, if I know deep within me that if I was on the streets back then in UB, like just taking pictures, I could have been better, because once you have good field work, the editing becomes very minimal. So it reduces the amount of work that you have to do on the computer and all that. So that's one thing I wish I knew. That one thing I really wish I did. I'll put it that way. Yeah.
Awesome. I gave a shout out to Joseph Fusong. I remember in those days of real photos. And again, considering that, as you just mentioned, there is a lot of things that you do within your Studio with Ice, as you said. What are some of the challenges that you have faced so far? What are some of the roadblocks that you face on this whole journey of creating Studio with Ice and making it a reality?
I would say my first challenge, and I know it's very common with small businesses, is access to capital. Having capital to start a business on the standard that you really want is really difficult. So that was my biggest challenge. Another thing is human capital, having the right people to work with, people who feel your passion, people who are related to your dream, who can relate to your dream and work as hard as you are working, and give them something and say, hey, I want to capture this particular kind of picture. They understand it and they go there, they work with you in a way that you will love it. So I would say human capital and financial capital, those are the biggest challenges I face. I'll say I'm lucky that at this point I'm able to maybe breach the financial capital somehow to get the kind of equipment that I want or that I need for my job. But it's still an issue because I want to have so many things. I want to have so many other cameras that I feel like it's going to help me be better. I want to have a better computer or not. I have a great computer, but there are better computers out there with graphics that will make your pictures look awesome. So if I have access to capital, I'll do a better job, but I know I'm doing a good job right now.
Awesome. Yes, I know that startup capital, that is one of the challenges, the main challenges that any startup business faces. So yeah, who knows? This is us talking about you today. Somebody might be listening to us and likes you and says, hey, I trust that girl. I want to invest in her business. So fingers crossed who this message might get to.
Oh, yeah.
Right. We're always looking for investors. Again, you must not, one of my last episodes, I think my episode with Lily, we talked about people who want to be in business. They don't necessarily want to be the ones doing the business, but they are willing to put aside money and say, okay, this is money. I want to invest in your business, do it and just work from there, right? There are a lot of people out there who are willing to do stuff like this. So I'm glad you shared that information. And also, let's talk a little bit about what brought you into photography. I know you say you do a lot of other things. Yes, who is this girl? Like, what is she doing carrying these cameras around? Like, just looking so serious? Like, why photography? What inspired you?
Photography is something that I know it runs within the family. From dad, we have a lot of family pictures that we took. Like, we can take our family pictures and recount the events that happened while we're growing up, because he took a lot of pictures. I have his camera today that is like 40 years old. That's an antique that I keep with me. I draw my inspiration from there. I always say that gives me passion, and what I have now gives me money, right? My elder brother, or our elder brother, gave me my first analog camera in 2004, the Kodak analog camera. I didn't use that camera for a while, so I kept that camera, and when I went to St. Augustine's, I started using that camera to make some money out of pictures. So it has been something that our dad was very interested in. Our elder brother is also very interested in pictures. So I'll say I got that from them, from these two people. And photography is great. It's a great art, and I always say it's my escape. When I feel like the world is just so loud, there's a lot of noise, I just dive into my pictures. I start editing and looking into new things, making flyers that I don't even need, just trying to do something that takes me away from the noise of the world. Yeah.
Awesome. That is great. Yes, it's true. We come from that photography. I know I still see you and Vali doing a lot of picture. Hey, this picture is good. Hey, good job. He's always there to criticize or praise your pictures. I see that back and forth happening in our family forum. So
he's one of my biggest inspiration and my biggest critic as well. So he gave me my first equipment. So why wouldn't you recognize such a person?
Awesome. Kudos to you, Vali. Thanks for being there for her. Awesome. So again, you've talked about photography being a passion for you. I believe that there is somebody listening to us out there who might be interested in getting into photography, right? Maybe they don't just have the means, or maybe they don't just, I don't know, it could be anything. But I just want you to give a word of advice to anyone out there that might be looking, or maybe wants, would love to join or maybe start up a professional photography kind of business. What kind of advice would you have for that kind of a person?
I'll say, if you've recognized, first of all, that this is something that we want to do, because I'll say photography is something that sometimes you get out there, you have to be super patient. because you go and you see clients and they're like, hey, I don't want my arm to be that big. I don't want my stomach to be this big. My child is still sleeping. My makeup is not well set. Like, there are just these things happening that you have to be super patient, and sometimes they don't even, some people would feel like they're paying you too much for what you're doing, right? And so for anybody out there who is watching this video and is passionate about photography, I would say go for it. Go for it. Don't strive to get like the best camera. My first digital camera was a Canon T6, and I got that from a loan. Somebody gave me the credit card, I used it, I bought the camera, and I paid gradually. So go for it. But if you're not passionate about photography, I'll say look for your path, right? Look for something that you do happily, even if you're not being paid for. That's, for me, that's how I envision passion. That's how I see passion. The ability to work and do something that is not, you don't have any monetary returns. So look for that part, go for it. But if you're interested in photography, look for that type of photography that you're interested in. Is it street photography? Is it, are you talking about weddings? Are you talking about landscape? So just look for what you're interested into and hit the YouTube University and learn as much as you can.
Beautiful. That's nice. I know one of the challenges that we have spoken about when you go out to do your photography or photo shoots, as you call them, it could be, most of the times it's like, hey, the customers, right? The people you're shooting. And I believe that if you do not have patience, sometimes you probably just pack up your equipment and leave because of how some customers can be very challenging sometimes. I know myself, when you take pictures of me, how much I'm like, hey, I do not like that. Like, you need to tell me to do this. So I can imagine what you experience every day when you go out to do this. And yeah, you started talking about YouTube University in your previous response. I wanted you to talk to us a little bit more about the resources. I know that growing up, you never went to any professional photography school. Yes, you were at Real Photos for some time while you were in UB, but you did not really go to do any professional photography course or anything. What resources have you been using so far that have actually helped you to advance in what you do and become better day by day?
Right now I'm making like YouTube. That's like where I go first, but also I'm making a very great use of the people around me. And when I talk about the people around me, I'm talking about the photographers around me, the colleagues around me, those that are into photography. If I see something great, I'm like, hey, how did you do this? What camera are you using? Like, what editing app did you use? So I make use of the colleagues, the people already in the business, and I also make use of YouTube a lot. Then I also use presets. So presets, I use them also for my pictures. If I see a picture that is great and I can figure out what preset was used to edit that picture, great. So there are lots of resources out there that you can actually use to have great pictures.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. And I hope those of you listening who are interested or knows anybody that is interested in photography, you can share this information with them. But before we continue into photography and everything, right? Again, this is my little sister. And sometimes I just like to bring up little experiences or little things that happen in life, something that might just bring you up the jolly of this new year, right? We want the year to be a happy one. So I'm going to share a fun fact about her. So as you see, Ice is my younger sister. So I grew up seeing many of the things she did as a kid. And we grew up in Kumbu, right? So many times people think that we saw kids where we are not. We grew up there, but we are from small London. We are blue blood. We are royalty. That's who we are. But growing up in Kumbu was fun. It was an experience that we are never going to let go of. We still associate ourselves a lot with some people, many people. I dance to their songs. I speak the language. I think I speak it better than Ice, because yes, I'm a linguist. I've always had a thing for languages more than anyone else. So growing up, we were both tomboys. So these are two little girls, both tomboys. We went to school. We went to the same schools and stuff and everything. And while we were in school, we went to a lycée. When we were in Kumbu, we both went to a lycée, and we were at school, and this little girl was so much, I was a tomboy too, so was she, but she was so much into the rough things. And I call it rough things. Why? Because to me, to have a little girl of like 12, 14 going to play soccer with professional football players, the Kumbu strikers, to me, that was crazy, right? I did my own crazy stuff, but I thought, I really think that hers were crazier. So in this case, I remember my mom, she just recounted a story to me recently, and that's why I decided to share with you that because this girl would go out and play football, soccer with Kumbu strikers and stuff, it became a little bit frustrating for my parents. So around the time, my dad got transferred from Lycée Kumbu to Santa. So my dad moved to Santa. My mom stayed in Kumbu because she's a businesswoman. She had a restaurant that we all grew up in. So we are all Mamia children, and we are so proud of that. Like, we couldn't have been born in a better family. We are so proud of her and her husband for bringing up 7 amazing kids together with other children that grew up in our home. So as a result of this, my parents lived apart for some time. My dad was in Akum and my mom was in Kumbu. And because they had to stop Ice from going to play this soccer and everything, my dad decided to take her with him to Akum. So she ended up completing the first part of her secondary school in Akum. So she went to Akum for the next couple of years. I think it was 3 years, 2 to 3 years, I think so. Yeah. So she went to Akum and I stayed in Kumbu. And that was some kind of punishment because not punishment per se, but my parents were frustrated. They could not just stop her because she would go to school and she would skip school to go play soccer. And we'll just get news that, hey, Ice is the one holding the placard for Kumbu strikers. And my mom, they just could not deal with it. That was the only way they could handle it. So my mom says she goes home once. She visited my dad often, like almost every weekend or 2 weekends. She'll travel to Akum to go see my dad to do their husband and wife stuff and whatever they did. And during one of those visits, she told on the Sunday they're about to go to church. And she says, hey, Elvira, get ready for church. We have to go. And this little girl says, no, that she can't go to church. She doesn't have a dress to wear to church. And my mom goes into her closet and she has all these dresses that they bought for her and she has outgrown all of them, right? Because she never wears them. They're still brand new. She doesn't wear them. So my mom says, that's your business. If you don't have what I like that, I need you in the car within the next 10 minutes. Then this girl goes into her father's closet, picks up her father's pants, her father's shirt, and even her father's shoes. So she goes to church that morning in my father's shirt, pants, and shoes. My mom did not. My mom, if anybody listening to this that knows her, she's a tough one to break, right? My mom said, that's fine. If that's what you want to wear, you go with me. And they went to church. I'm sure everybody at church was like, oh, wow, what is that kid wearing? Look at how nicely dressed her mom is. What is she wearing? And they went to church. So my mom was recounting this story to me recently as she came to visit. And I was like, oh, God, sometimes you always say I was a tough one. But the things this Elvira did, I wish sometimes you could just look at her again and give her a crack on her head for stressing you up this much when she was little. So she did that dressing thing because she wanted to like punish my mom for forcing her to go to church. But unfortunately for her, my mom doesn't care. You're going to go to church so long as your body is covered. She doesn't care what you wear. So these are some of the things that she did when we were kids. She did a lot more. But because this one came up recently, I decided to share with you. She's a very fun person. She could be strict. You can look at her sometimes and you say, oh, she's very stern, very strict. She has my dad's kind of aura. Like they come out like really strict, but very fun people to be with, very interested, and can be very crazy too. So I just thought of sharing that fun fact with you. So if you know her, you want to check out with her and find out why she did those crazy things.
No, I'll just say it right now. Nobody needs to check out with me because look, the truth is, I don't want to say African parents, but the reality of our Africa is I'm an athlete by blood. You can't even argue the fact. I can't take it away from me. And I told mom the other day, we were sitting in the living room and watching a movie. I'm like, hey, if I came to this country when I was maybe in my teens or a teenager, I could have been a professional athlete. I was playing basketball, I was playing soccer, I was playing handball, I was riding bicycle. I was doing everything. I was just this child who was ready to go out there and fly. But guess what? My wings were clipped. my wings were clipped and they wanted me to focus on my studies, which I did. And for me, I felt like first of all, I don't blame them because our African educational system doesn't give us the ability to do both things, to have that balance. It doesn't really work well. They still need to create that balance. So I was just a kid who was living in a wrong environment, I would say, at that time. But I was supposed to be an athlete. I think I'm a little bit too old for that, but I still work out a lot every day, or at least 4 times a week. So, and for the clothes and everything, it's fun. Why didn't you just get me what I wanted to wear to church? Like,
yeah, because she didn't want to encourage you to stay a tomboy. She wanted you you were a girl. She wanted you to wear dresses like we were doing. Why did you say no to your dresses? You could have worn your dresses.
I think somehow we always try to run away from the truth, because tell you my style and the way I do things, it comes from somewhere.
It comes from somewhere, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure they're going to listen to it. Don't worry.
Yeah, it comes.
Awesome. All right, that is great. I just wanted to share a little fun fact about my guest today, since I happen to know a little bit more about her, right? So thank you so much for actually confirming that what I'm saying is right.
It's
so
true.
Let's go back. Sorry?
I say it's true, and I have lots of those stories, so.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go back to Studio with Eyes. Okay. So apart from photography, I know that I have listened to you talk about yourself. I have seen some of those beautiful pictures that you post online, and you always go about it and you're like, you're a photographer and more. And I remember having reached out to you and like, hey, what is this more you keep putting at the end of the phrase when you put up your pictures? So you've never really given me an answer to that. Hopefully we can pull that answer out of you today on this episode. And so please kindly tell us, when you talk of your photographer and more, what is more?
As I mentioned earlier, I kind of I know, and I was bullied a lot as a child growing up because of the way I always say, because the springs on my heels were different and my bounce was spatial. I was bullied and they were calling me all sorts of names because I preferred pants over skirts. Some days I just want to be this tomboy, but some days I want to come out looking sexy and sassy, right? So society is stereotyping me to be just that photographer. Hey, look at that female photographer who's always in pants or who is always in the blazer, right? But when I say you're a photographer and more, it's because I'm also this person working with unprivileged kids or underprivileged kids back in our community. I'm also this person who is a trainer. I'm also this person who works with other people as a project manager. I'm also this person that is a mentor to others and a mentee to some, right? So I am these other things that people don't see. So I don't want to be stereotyped just like, hey, look at that female photographer who is always in the blazer. Yes, I am your photographer and more. That's
awesome.
me.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the more is the other side of you.
The more is the other side that you don't see on the streets.
Okay, awesome. I used to think that more was something else. Thank you for clearing that up. That is interesting. So let's talk about what you offer at Studio with Eyes, right? So I know you have mentioned them here and there in our earlier talk, but let's talk about the services you offer at Studio with Eyes. Can you just so if somebody is listening to us and they want to know, but okay, yeah, she does photography, this, what does she do? Just a recap on those things that you do.
Basically, I do just photography. And when I talk of photography, I mean studio photography, street photography. I just did into a wedding. I've supported colleagues during to do cover weddings, and I'm working to get into videography. I did my first video last month. I have my next video this month. So right now it's photography and videography. I also do flyers, but right now it's unpaid. But I'll start asking for money for that.
You're monetizing everything, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. And so where can the listeners find you online? If they were to find you, where do you want to send them to?
Oh, I have a website, www.studiowitheyes.com. And I'm also on Facebook as Studio with Eyes and on Instagram as Studio. Those are my handles. Yeah.
All right, awesome. I'm also going to add those to the description of this episode, so you can find her, follow her, use her services, and get to work with her. She's an amazing person. So as you know, I know you're one of my podcast listeners. One thing I like to do in my podcast is put you on the spot to talk to someone out there that might need to hear something that will push them forward. As I say, I watched you grow up as a little girl, did your bachelor's in UB, did a professional project manager course, went traveled to Germany to do your master's, came to the US, started off with survival jobs like most of us have done, found your way, you have a career, you're building in, how do you call it, project management, and you're also a scrum master, and you're a photographer. You do this many things. I remember in one of our talks, our youngest sister, Charlene, she referred to you as Jack of all trades. I have my own names that I call you, but I just want you to, like, you're able to pull all of these things and still be you and still be able to come sit down here and talk to people. Please, I want you to motivate somebody out there, somebody that might be stuck, somebody might just not know what to do or where to begin. Just talk to someone out there. I believe there's going to be one person listening to us that will pick a message that you have to talk to them now. The mic is yours, Ice.
It's when you mentioned all those things, it sounded like I had everything figured out, right? But I did not. I never knew that I would be in Germany in 2015 studying what I was studying, right? I didn't know that at this point I would be in the United States and working as a project manager or being a photographer or professional photographer. So what I want to tell people or anyone listening to me right now is if you don't have it all figured out, it's okay. It's totally fine not to know what to do next, right? But what is more important is to have something that you're even trying to work on. Because the moment you try, it's better than not trying at all. They say, your last guest say, when you want to fall, you fall forward. That's stuck on me. Like, that was a good one. Fall forward, never fall backward. No matter how many times you fall, just keep rise up, dust up, dress up, and show up. So I don't have it all. I don't have all the things that I want, but all the things that I want, but what I have, I appreciate it and I work on it. And guess what? Tomorrow, my photography might not be working. Some days, like the past 2 weeks, I've not had any gig, but it's fine, right? It's okay. How do I make myself more valuable? That's what I'm looking at right now. How do I sell myself to be a better person?
Thank you so much, Ice, for sharing that. I bet that there is someone out there that is going to learn a lot from what you just said. So before we conclude this episode, I would like for you and I to do a little game, right? Like a quick question game. Like I have 5 questions for you, which I would love for you to answer like spontaneously. No overthinking, just answer, okay? Great, okay, so are you ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
All right. So question number 1, what is your favorite food?
Fufu and jama.
Oh, there she goes. Kiban huna UCG. So children. Yep. There we go. What is your favorite activity?
Working out.
Gym?
Gym.
Awesome. Okay, great.
Working out.
And what do you do first thing in the morning when you wake up?
I meditate, I pray, then I work out.
Oh, awesome. And are you into girls?
I would not just answer that saying yes or no, because I have been bullied a lot around that question by people. So I'll ask them, like, what do you think? And what I tell people is like, when they ask me that, are you into girls? I ask them, are you into me? So it's a question that I've been bullied with since I was a child. So I don't answer to such a question.
Okay, I thought you were going to give me a spontaneous answer there, but you know what? Typical of you. So, okay, the last question. What's the top thing on your New Year's resolution list?
I don't have a New Year resolution list. I'm currently working on what I have planned like 5 years back.
Okay, so there are no new things on your list?
I always have a list. Like growing, there's always a list. So
oh my God. My dear listeners, you can see you can see from this that This person can be so unbelievable. Thank you so much. Do you have any last words?
I just want to encourage everyone out there who are struggling with, if you're struggling with something and you need help, seek for help, and go for the professional help. If you need it, if you need help, go into a therapy session if you can afford it. It helps. I've been there and it has helped, because I know lots of people are struggling with a lot of things, but they cry under the blankets. Don't keep the blankets wet. Sit on a therapist's chair and speak up and speak out and show up. So that's my last word for today. And I want to thank you very much for having me. You did a great job. This is a great platform, and I hope you have more amazing people. And I hope that when I do great things, I'll have the opportunity to come back and share with you and your audience.
Awesome. I appreciate it. And about what she just said about when it comes to seeking help. I know that I've gone to other platforms and I hear this, and people complain that they cannot afford a therapist. I also know that you just need to ask questions, right? Talk to somebody. Talk to someone might know someone. There are therapists. I know there is a group. I don't have the specific information, but we have in our community some people who are actually helping out for free. They're giving out therapy sessions for free. You just want to ask questions. Just make sure that you don't bury whatever is bothering you within and cry underneath your pillow. You want to be able to find somebody to share with. Even if you don't want to share with that person, just ask them if they know someone that can help you. I believe that there is somebody out there who will be willing to sacrifice some time just to hear you out and help you, because the truth is, we heal by talking about it. If we don't talk about it, it's hard to heal, or it's even hard to do those things that will help you step out from a difficult situation. So I hope you take that seriously. And again, I want to thank you so much, Ice, for accepting my invitation. I've had such an amazing time talking with you, and I hope that my listeners will also pick some valuable nuggets from what we have just shared today. My dear listeners, if not of you, I will not be here today. So I appreciate you all as we begin this new year. I thank you so much for the support you have given me throughout 2021. The reason I'm still doing this is because you listen, is because you give me feedback. So keep supporting, keep promoting the podcast, keep sharing it. And one day, we don't know where this is going to take us. We keep bringing on these amazing people who come to talk to us and share their experiences, just to make sure that we one day get to that better version of ourselves, right? So I wish you all an amazing 2022, and I look forward to talking to you again in 2 weeks. God bless you, and be good to each other.